नॉर्थ मडके सर कंटिन्यू करा, आता काय अडचण नाही.
हो सर. मिथिलेश सर. हॅलो.
Hello.
मिथिलेश सर.
How?
हा सर, यू कॅन स्टार्ट.
Yeah. Good afternoon to everyone, and I welcome Dr. Vijaya Kadam, madam, for today's session on use of English language in research. And I welcome all the participants of this coursework. Now I request my colleague, Mr. Marke sir, to give the introduction of Dr. Vijaya Kadam, ma'am.
Okay. Welcome to all of you. This is Jitendra Madke. It is great pleasure to me start this session. I am going to introduce today's guest lecturer, Dr. Vijaya Kadam. She was working at Sir Parshuram Bhau College, Pune as an assistant professor. She has organized various seminars and department activities and edited college miscellany at SP College from 2010. Her educational qualifications are a PhD in 2009 in English Literature from Savitribai Phule Pune University. She has done PGDBM in Human Resource Management from Neyveli College. She has done MA in English from Savitribai Phule Pune University in 2004. She has worked with Pune College of Art, Science and Commerce as a lecturer in English for senior college from 2007 to 2004 to 2007. She was the section in charge of English and also assisted in editing and compiling college miscellany while working at Pune College. She had organized and coordinated an elocution cum presentation competition entitled A Dream City 2006 and and inter-college competition and a college fest cum competition called Hunar 2006 at Pune College. She has worked as a visiting faculty at the Maharashtra State Institute of Hotel Management and Catering Technology from 2005 to 2010. She has been taking lecture for the PG section at Nauroji Wadia College and Abeda Inamdar College, Pune, for the past 5 years. She has worked as an online tutor for English language at TechNet IT Enable service from 2007 to 2010. She has taught communication English paper to the MBA student at IIMR for the academic year 2011-12. She has taught English to LLB student at DES Law College, Pune in the year 2015-16. She has reviewed MPhil and PhD dissertation for Tilak Maharashtra Vidyapit, Pune. She has assisted in translating a book from Basav Samiti, Karnataka. She has given special training to students appearing for various defense examination at Apex Career from 2006 to 2012. She has published 4 papers in national and international journals. She has attended many seminars or conference, presented research paper. May I request you, ma'am, you can start your presentation. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi,
Hello.
yes. Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. I think we'll right away start with our class. Thank you very much, the authorities, for inviting me to give a lecture on English related to your research work and how we could utilize that for the best of our knowledge. Thank you for giving a review of my career and my profession. Thank you so much for everything. Now, before we start with our class for the day, um, I think a little introduction about the students by the students is something that will work in our favor. So, can anybody just tell me, I mean, how and why have you come down to this particular research process? Maybe MPhil, PhD, whatever. So any of the student who could just tell me the purpose of joining this particular class, the coursework or the research. Anyone? Yes. No one? See, I think see, it's not going to be just uh, one-way traffic wherein I talk and you people would just listen to me. So feel free, students. I mean, I don't even know whether I should call you students because you are from research stream. You've just started with your research. You're doing this as a part of your coursework for your research. So I just wanted to have an idea as to your purpose of joining research, and then we could, just start. Anybody who would love to tell me why you were joining research? Why are you doing PhD? Your voice is not okay. My voice is not clear to you people. Okay, is it fine now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, so would you tell me why have you come to the decision that you want to research into something? Yes. ओके. मराठीत बोलायचंय का कुणाला?
Yeah, candidates can feel free to speak in Marathi as well.
सी सगळ्यात पहिली गोष्ट आय विल ओके थोडंसं मराठीत सुरू करते मग आपण इंग्लिशकडे वळूयात. See, the original idea that I have in my mind about you people is that you are simply what? Great. Why? Because you've come up to that level of your education. You've done your post graduation, and now that you have registered yourself for a research work, I mean that decision itself is applaudable. Somebody needs to appreciate that. I think you need to appreciate yourself that you have come up to that level of research. Now, the purpose may be different. I asked you to tell me the purpose. The purpose is different. Somebody is maybe doing it for job sake or for promotion sake or whatever. But let's go down to the basics. We are researchers. You are researcher, and you have come up to this level with a lot of hardship. You have studied your PG and you've come up here. You've decided to take research as an important task in your life to do. I think first thing is you should praise yourself for that. Appreciate your efforts for coming here. And that's the reason I asked you people if anyone could just tell me in a minute why you have come up here for research. So, having justified my question, I go on a little further with it. See, मराठीत जरी तुम्हाला बोलायचं असेल तरी माझी काही हरकत नाहीये. आपण इथवर आलोत यासाठीच आपलं थोडंसं स्वतःला आय थिंक कॉंग्रॅच्युलेट करण्याची जास्त गरज आहे आणि मग आपण तिथून पुढे वळूयात आपल्या विषयाकडे. आता माझा विषय हा इंग्लिश आणि मला इथे बोलावलं किंवा मला सांगण्यात आलं की तुम्हाला इंग्लिश आणि रिसर्च हे हे कसं काय मेळ घालायचा आणि हाऊ इज इट दॅट यू सपोज टू राईट इंग्लिशची कशी मदत होईल तुम्हाला रिसर्चची असा खूप काय म्हणतील त्याला खूप elevated kind of a status people have given to English. And that's why it's a part of your PhD coursework, and that's why I'm here. Before we get into technical details, I want you people to know the background and how English has come up to that level, and why is it important for all of us to be able to communicate in the most appropriate manner in English. Okay, so I think I'll take you to some 150 years back when and Lord Macaulay, all right? Yeah. Lord Macaulay presented a bill, a minutes in the court to the king, to the queen. Lord Macaulay was one of the lords who was deputed to India to take care of how how they govern over India, how they could take care of India. So he presented a minute and he suggested that English language should be the language of all our subjects in India. I mean, we were called subjects, and that should become the major aspect of our day-to-day routine life. Why? Why so? In order to make them a better slave. So Lord Macaulay's intention to get English into India, especially even in academics, was to make us the slave of the language. Not only of the language, but also of their culture, the English culture, their literature, and of course, everything that was English. The intention for all this was to completely wipe off Indian culture, Indian languages, and Indian influence on an Indian mind. That was the main purpose of Lord Macaulay. Today, after so many years, it has come up to be the truth that most of us are slaves of this particular language and of this culture. If we remove that word slave from the whole context and we simply say that yes, we need English language without which we cannot function well. Now, if I say so, it I don't think I'm wrong at all in saying this. English has become the language of bread and butter. Bread and butter meaning it has become the language of earning money. To earn your livelihood, you have to know this language well. The more better you know, better chances that you have for getting a good job or being promoted or being even recognized for that matter. Okay. So you can't do without English. So before I tell you how to write or how you are supposed to use that in your research writings or your academic writing, I think the first thing is get that mental block out of your mind that English is something scary, it's a foreign language, or why should I learn English? I can communicate in Marathi or Hindi, and sab kuch chalta hai kind. Get that thing out of your mind. Firstly, do not have any kind of an assumption with you, or don't have any kind of a mental block. English is required. It is the requirement of the day. Whether that was political to get English into India, or it's the basic source of your livelihood, whatever, you have to be open. You have to learn English and you have to invite that in your routine life with an open mind. So that is most important task. the first task that I would want you people to do. So, the very first thing, as I said, do not assume that English is a foreign language. Okay. And I know I don't need to learn that. I can survive without English. No, no, you cannot survive without it. Survive in the sense if you need to progress, if you need to uh, get your dream job, if you need to get yourself promoted to something, you need to know English. That's the basics. Hmm? Second thing, after Lord Macaulay getting it to India, the language was spread everywhere in every colony, wherever the Britishers were. So English spread everywhere. Hmm? It went wherever the Britishers went. Later on, the Americans picked that up. They molded according to their own choices. Why? Because they just wanted to be different than the Britishers. And so we have a new form, the American English. Hmm? One is the British and the other is American. Sometimes we come across different spellings, right? If it is the word favor, F-A-V-O-U-R, you would say that's British. F-A-V-O-R, that becomes American. Even your computers will ask you, when you program your computer and start using it, it will ask which English to be used, US or UK. Even the mobile phones do that. What I'm trying to tell you is English came out of the Queen's court, became the language of a common man, became the language of its slaves, that is, the colonies. It spread everywhere to maximum parts of the world. Americans picked that up, they changed it. Of course, that was again political to have something different of their own, something different than the Britishers. And then they came up with American English as a new form, a new dialect. And again, it spread worldwide. Now, how Americans did was they used it in technological stuff, in scientific reforms, in your computers, right? Because most of the part of the programming came in from there. They marketed well and they reached maximum number of European nations as well as the Asian nations. So this is how the devices speak. Devices in the sense the computers, laptops, or your mobiles. They would rather automatically select US as the default language. You have to go and select that as an UK, that is a British language. So Britishers brought English to common man, Americans brought that to the devices, and this is how everywhere today you find English has become the language of communication between people coming from different nations. Now, I'm not telling you something new in this. This is already there. You already know it. I'm only trying to emphasize my point that it is inevitable. That is, you cannot survive without English now. You need to know English and you need to use effectively. Right? Now, all of us know English. We've heard English. We've taken education in English medium. That's why you have completed your PG and you're here for your coursework, for your research. So you have come a long way, and you possibly didn't come without English. You know English. You've been using it. Now the task gets a little serious because this is the last step of your education, wherein you research. Okay, and you're going to write down something. So now, here, at this point, at this juncture of your education, it takes a very serious turn. And for that reason, we need to use English effectively, or at least, let's say, in the most appropriate manner. Okay. कळतंय का मी काय सांगते ते? कारण व्हिडिओज कुणाचेच ऑन नाहीयेत, माझाही मी ठेवलेला नाही. तर नसेल कळत तर प्लीज तुम्ही मला विचारू शकता.
हो समजतं मॅडम.
कळतंय ना? म्हणजे इंग्लिशमध्ये बोललं तर कळेल आपल्याला, राईट?
बिलकुल बिलकुल इंग्लिश मधून पूर्णपणे समजते मॅडम.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Um, we'll go a little further then in that case. Now coming down to the very what I was talking to you about is your research, right? You have come this way. The first thing I started was that you should congratulate yourself because you've come here. Now I would say that why? Because you have come to the last step of your education. And now, if you are not able to communicate what is there in your mind, your research fails completely. What are you doing research for? Was my next question. The purpose. Purpose could be anything. It could be earning money, it could be taking promotions, it could be getting a higher scale of salary, it could be taking up your dream job, or it could be just your passion for research. वॉट एव्हर पर्पज काही असू दे, म्हणजे ते केल्यावर तुम्हाला काय मिळेल हा नंतरचा मुद्दा. वॉट एव्हर यू विल अचीव्ह, वॉट यू विल गेट आफ्टर गेटिंग द डॉक्टरेट डिग्री इज अ डिफरंट मॅटर ऑल टुगेदर. बट राईट नाव यू आर इन टू रिसर्च. म्हणजे आपण काय करतोय? यू आर हॅव्हिंग सम आयडियाज इन युअर माइंड, यू हॅव समथिंग टू प्रूव्ह, यू हॅव सम ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह फॉर युअर रिसर्च. आपल्याला काहीतरी खूप असं यू हॅव दॅट अर्ज टू प्रूव्ह समथिंग, की आता मला या एरियामध्ये रिसर्च करायचा आहे, मी शोधणार ह्याच्यात काय आहे, काहीतरी नवीन काढायचं आहे शोधून. यू विल हॅव मे बी द सॅम्पल्स वुड चेंज. नवीन इन द सेन्स विषय तोच असेल, जिओग्राफीतला एखादा विषय जो तुम्ही निवडला असेल, दॅट कुड बी द सेम टॉपिक ॲज अन अम्ब्रेला टर्म, but then the subjects would change, the samples would change, the area where you would be researching, that would change. This is unique to you. कुठलाही रिसर्च हा त्या व्यक्तीसाठी तितकाच युनिक असतो, एक जेन्युइन अटेम्प्ट असतो. इट्स अ व्हेरी सिन्सिअर अँड अ जेन्युइन अटेम्प्ट ऑफ yours to research in a particular area of your choice. म्हणजे मी आता अज्युम करते की तुमचा रिसर्च एरिया हा तुमच्या चॉईसचा आणि तुमच्या आवडीचा आहे. कोणी लादलेला नसेल. आय अज्युम लाईक दॅट. आणि जरी असला, वॉट एव्हर, इवन इफ somebody else has suggested you a particular topic, my point here is that with lot of hard work, with taking care of your family responsibilities, your job, or your other commitments, you still commit yourself to dedicated research. And why do you do that? Is because you intend to prove something, you intend to get something to the whole world. काहीतरी सांगायचं सगळ्यांना की मी हे असं काहीतरी शोधलंय. Now imagine if you are not able to reproduce your ideas in English in the most appropriate manner. What will happen? It will not fit in. I mean, somebody else will not understand exactly what you're trying to say. Now, here I do not assume that you don't know English completely. You know English, you can understand, you can read, you can speak English, all fine, absolutely. But that's for a daily routine communication. See, for routine communication, the language requirements are different. It's very basic requirement of language. But when you come down to a very serious issue like research, your language has to be appropriate. The most fitting, the most suitable words are to be used. The most suitable tense is to be used. And for that reason, you need to have good English. That is good language. Because if you're not able to express yourself in English, or this particular language that you've chosen to write your research into, half of the stuff remains in your mind and half of the stuff comes on paper, which is not beneficial at all. Now, I'll just give you an example. I was reading a paper when I was told that I have to guide in the sense, just direct you towards um, usage of English and research. I've got to combine this. I was just reading certain material, and I stumbled upon an essay, sorry, a research paper published in a journal, and um, that person had studied deeply about the research journals and articles and how there's so much of politics into it, how outrightly they simply discard your research papers. The journals would not publish it because they do not meet this language standard or the citation standards, or sometimes they're not able to interpret it well. Right? They're not able to interpret it, and then that's the reason they simply discard those papers. Those papers are not published. So it also gave the statistics. Approximately 10,000 papers are published every day. Every week, I guess. Yeah, every week. 10,000 papers, scientific papers are published online and the print media together. And out of that, many, I mean, those 10,000 are selected out of many which are rejected. And the grounds of rejection is the style of presentation, the language, the writer is not able to explain well, or the writer is not able to um, put that in the most polished language form. And that's why those papers get rejected. So I come down to the third important aspect of research and language. See, knowing language is really important, but using it effectively is also important. I mean, you have so many good data in your mind. तुम्हाला सगळं जमत असेल, तुमच्याकडे नवीन क्रिएटिव्ह आयडियाज असतील सायन्स बद्दल, पण जर ते तुम्हाला मांडता नाही आलेत व्यवस्थित, तर ते तुमचे पेपर्स रिजेक्ट होतात. असं होतं, असं बऱ्याच वेळेला होतं. युअर सिनियर्स आर देअर, यू कॅन आस्क देम, दे विल टेल यू. असं असं बऱ्याच वेळेला होतं. फक्त कुठेतरी काहीतरी आपलं लँग्वेजचा प्रॉब्लेम येतो. नेमकं काय रिसर्च होत आहे आणि ते कुठे कशा पद्धतीने लिहायचंय. कधीतरी वर्ब आपला चुकतो, टेन्स चुकतो, कधी चुकीचा शब्द निवडला जातो. आणि ह्या सगळ्या घोळात आपला जो मेन मुद्दा आहे, वॉट एव्हर इज देअर इन आवर माइंड, you are unable to communicate in the most appropriate manner, and that's why your papers would be rejected. Okay. असं होतं. आता असा तो डेटा सुद्धा आहे. I will send you that particular paper. You can go through if you wish to. Further, the next point is also here in case of scientific researches and you publishing it. There's a lot of other political stuff also, wherein if you research into something and if you write into vernacular language, that should not be um, completely discarded. Most of the time these researchers do not reach the world, do not reach people, is because language becomes a barrier there. You cannot communicate in English and they can't understand your language. That is the vernacular, whatever that could be, your native language. So this is another problem that happens most of the time with people coming from scientific field or social sciences and then trying to write something. Your researchers do not reach people. सो मग याचा उपयोग काय जर आपण इतकं कष्ट घेत आहोत, आपण जर इतका महत्वाचा निर्णय घेतला आहे लाईफमध्ये रिसर्च करण्याचा, काहीतरी संशोधन करण्याचा, आणि जर तो लोकांपर्यंत पोहोचत नसेल किंवा पोहोचवण्यात अडचण येत असेल, सो I think we need to seriously think about this language as a medium of communicating your ideas to the whole world. All right. Now, for some people, it's a matter of bread and butter. For some people, it's a matter of um, maintaining or retaining their job. But we're not going to discuss on all these things. I'm not supposed to talk to you about all that here. I'm just trying to convince you more that for research, you are brilliant people. You are intelligent people who've come down to the research. You are beginning with your research work. You are doing something which everybody does not do. Very few people are privileged to come up to this level and to study and to do research in their field of liking. And then, if language serves as an obstacle, I mean, that would be the most silliest or the funniest thing that would happen to anyone. You were so brilliant, you come up to this level, and simple language, एक छोटीशी भाषा तुम्हाला अडचण तयार करते किंवा त्या लँग्वेजच्या बॅरियरमुळे तुम्हाला पुढे जाता येत नाही. लाईफमध्ये आपण किती विचित्र चित्र बॅरियर्स मधनं येतो, किती अडचणी असतात. त्यातून आपण इथे येतो आणि फक्त भाषा जी काही महिन्यात काही वर्षात शिकता येऊ शकते आणि ते येत नाही म्हणून आपण जर लोकांपर्यंत पोहोचत नसेल तर आय थिंक वी नीड टू सिरियसली वर्क ऑन आवर लँग्वेज. इट्स जस्ट अ स्मॉल टूल. Look at English language as just a small tool, a medium. एक माध्यम आहे, एक साधन आहे ते. तुमचा इंटेलिजन्स, तुमचा रिसर्च लोकांपर्यंत पोहोचवण्याचा. राईट? आणि म्हणून आपण आतापर्यंत फक्त जर कम्युनिकेशन पुरता बोलत असाल तर ते ठीक होतं. त्याची तेवढी गरज होती, तुम्हाला तेवढी भाषा येते, तुम्ही ती वापरलीत. आता तुमची इंग्लिश लँग्वेजची गरज बदलली आहे. And so your competence level should also change. Okay? So this is one of the, in scientific language, we would say apparatus. One of the apparatus that you take for an experiment. So now you're experimenting with your research work. Your objectives are there in your mind, clear. You want to find something, you want to reach out to people, you want to tell them that you have done something great. You've come up to this level and you've researched on something really important, something which is very unique, something which is a very genuine, sincere effort in your life. And language will serve as just a medium, just as a tool to reach out to people. So I come back to the basics that I started my class with, or started my lecture with. Do not fear English. Okay? We used English in different contexts. The need was different. Now the context is different. And so you just have to brush up on this knowledge. It is as simple as that. अगदी साधं सोपं आहे. लॉर्ड मेकॉलेने आपल्याला स्लेव्स बनवण्यासाठी इंग्लिश इकडे आणली. आपण झालो स्लेव्स, पण आता असं आहे की संपूर्ण जग ती भाषा वापरतो. त्यामुळे ती भाषा फक्त राणीची असेल, क्वीन्सची असेल असं नाही झालंय. कॉमन मॅन सुद्धा इंग्लिश बोलतो. तर लँग्वेजचा स्टेटस जनरल झालेला आहे. And so we must learn, we must master the art of using language. ठीक आहे? And most importantly, आपला जो उद्देश आहे आता सध्या जे तुम्ही अभ्यास करताय त्या उद्देशासाठी तरी तुम्हाला इंग्लिशवर काम करावंच लागेल. Without that, it is simply impossible to get your ideas clear on paper. I'll tell you an example. Um, I keep reading certain thesis stuff and all that. And there came a thesis to me some years back. That was about the spread of English language in what, Nagaland or something. Yeah, no, not Nagas, Assam, somewhere there, northeastern states. I don't remember that. And that person had connected all that with the missionary aspect of how the missionaries came into India, and then with them the language has become a part of the culture, especially of the northeastern states of India. And people use English very easily, very swiftly there. It has become a part of their day to day routine communication. That was the research aspect of that person. He had been working on that research for at least 5 6 years, and the thesis came to me for as a referee to be read. And I told you it was atrocious. Sorry, म्हणजे अत्यंत काय म्हणता येईल, फ्रॅगमेंटरी होतं ते. The research was very fragmentary. ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह काय होता की त्यांना सांगायचं होतं मिशनरीजमुळे इंग्लिश तिथे जास्त वाईडस्प्रेड झाली. That was the simple objective. That was a survey method that he'd selected so that he surveyed different places there. There were some selected schools that he studied. And then he had to conclude that yes, because of the missionaries, English became a language of common usage here. That was his purpose. But then he went on to talk about that particular missionary. त्या अमुक एका मिशनरी बद्दल त्यांनी इतकं लिहिलं होतं, इतकं त्या priest बद्दल लिहिलं होतं, ऑलमोस्ट कम्प्लीट एक चॅप्टर डेडिकेट केला होता. And every chapter, somewhere or the other, would have something to say about that missionary. त्यांना अडचण झाली, त्यांना प्रॉब्लेम्स क्रिएट झाले, मुलं स्कूल सोडून जायचे, तरी ते शिकवत होते. ओके, सी एक भरकटायला किंवा मुद्दा मांडताना थोडीशी चूक व्हायला अजिबात वेळ लागत नाही. ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह काय होता, रोल्स ऑफ मिशनरी इन वाईड स्प्रेड ऑफ इंग्लिश लँग्वेज इन द नॉर्थ ईस्टर्न स्टेट्स. सिम्पल आहे, ठीक आहे. नाउ मिशनरीज डझंट मीन वन मिशनरी. It's a group, right? It's a group of people who work for the mission. आपण ज्याला साध्या सोप्या भाषेत म्हणू की ख्रिश्चन चर्चेस असतात. Right. So there's very thin line that divides missionaries, the group who came here and they're working for language, and one person or one priest in a particular place working for language. आता हा इतका छोटासा त्यांना तो फरक जमला नाही. And he went on to misinterpret the objective that he had selected. त्यांच्या डोक्यात काय होतं, त्यांनी लिहिलं काय होतं, त्यांचा थिसिस कुठल्याबद्दल होता. हा, टँकुल लिटरसी असं नाव होतं. टँकुल ते एक क्लॅन आहे तिथे. द नेम ऑफ अ पर्टिक्युलर क्लॅन इज टँकुल, TANGKHUL. त्याच्या लिटरसी रेट बद्दल त्यांना सांगायचं होतं. So the title was something else, objectives was something else, and what he had written was absolutely different. And after 5 7 years of the whole thing, and then that came to me, and I spoke to the guide and I said, let me talk to the person, let me find out exactly what's the whole problem. And then while talking, I realized that the intention of the researcher was something else. आणि त्यांनी ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह फ्रेम करताना चुकीचा शब्द वापरला होता. ऑब्जेक्टिव्हचं वाक्य रचना चुकीची झाली होती आणि त्यामुळे त्यांच्या गाईड त्यांना त्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह बद्दलच सांगत होत्या. सो देयर वॉज नो प्रॉब्लेम फ्रॉम द गाईड. गाईडचा इश्यू नव्हता. गाईड मॅडम त्यांना त्यांच्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह नुसारच सांगत होत्या की असं असं लिहायचं. पण जेव्हा तो व्यक्ती तो सगळं घेऊन आला होता ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह, त्यावेळेला त्यांनी ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह व्यवस्थित फ्रेम नव्हता केला. खूप छोटासा फरक होता त्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह मध्ये. आणि एक दोन चुकीची वाक्यरचना कम्प्लीट फोकस बदलला त्या थिसिसचा. And because of that, then the guide had so much of problem. Of course, we were friends. So she said, Vijay, would you do something for this fellow? Please tell them what to do. I spoke to the person and I came down to the conclusion that, madam, there's some little mistake here, that the person has something else in mind and what he's trying to write is something else. Then we both sat together, we framed it, reframed it, and did whatever possible we could, staying within the rules and regulations, and we managed to help that person out for his research. Of course, he took another 2 years to complete his stuff and then he came back. So, of course, हे सगळं असं हवेतलं उदाहरण तुम्हाला वाटतंय. It's not that. I still have the synopsis of that fellow. I can show that to you. If it was online offline class, I would have definitely shown that to you. So with research, importance of words and your sentence structures, it's of high importance. One little mistake here and there, and then you are misguided completely, or rather you're misunderstood by people. ओके. सो तुम्ही आता जेव्हा तुमचे ऑब्जेक्टिव्स फ्रेम कराल, तुम्ही जेव्हा तुमचे एम्स फ्रेम करताल, हायपोथेसिस असेल, बी व्हेरी व्हेरी particular about every word that you select. Okay? One wrong word in a wrong place will completely change the focus. It will change to the extent that आपल्या डोक्यात काय आहे ते समोरच्याला कळणारच नाही, आणि समोरचा व्यक्ती त्या लिहिलेल्या कागदावर लिहिलेल्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह नुसार चालत राहील, जे आपल्या डोक्यातल्या ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह सोबत कुठेच मॅच होत नसतं, आणि त्यामुळे पुढे प्रॉब्लेम होत जातो. Alright, so I think this is far more important for us to realize what exactly are we writing and what exactly is there in our mind. आपल्या मनात डोक्यात जो काही विचार आहे ते आणि आपण जे लिहितो याच्यात कनेक्शन आहे का नाही हे बघणं फार गरजेचं आहे. आणि म्हणून लँग्वेजवर आपलं काम करणं तितकंच महत्वाचं आहे. I come back to the same part. Why is English important and what is the role that it plays? The role that it plays is that of a medium, of the tool. तुमच्या मेंदूतले विचार, तुमच्या रिसर्चचे जे काही फाइंडिंग्स तुमच्या डोक्यात असतील ते, आणि ती समोरची व्यक्ती जो ते फाइंडिंग्स वाचणार आहे, त्या दोघांच्या मध्ये काय आहे, तर ती लँग्वेज आहे. And that is why your language, the selection of words, your sentence constructions, the tone of your sentences, it has to be the most appropriate. जर आपल्या डोक्यात जे आहे ते आपण इतरांपर्यंत नाही पोहोचवू शकलो, म्हणजे आपली रिसर्च तिथे फेल जाते. And we can't afford to do that because we've come here a long way. It's, I think, even if you have studied all throughout without failing in any year in your school or colleges, तरी सुद्धा MSc करून इकडे येणं म्हणजे आय थिंक कमीत कमी आपण 17 वर्ष शिक्षण घेतो, राईट? 17 वर्ष शिक्षण, एज्युकेशन याच्यावर आपण घातलेले असतात, आपल्या पेरेंट्सने घातलेले असतात. And after those 17 years, काहींच्या केसमध्ये जास्त असू शकतं, you might have studied a little more. एवढं सगळं करून आपण मग जेव्हा शेवटच्या टप्प्यावर येतो, after 17 years, when you come down to the last stage, and if you are not able to tell the person what is there in your mind, I think those efforts of 17 years would fail here. So don't let that happen, students. I mean, I don't know whether I should call you students, friends. आपण असं म्हणूया, कारण बरेच मला खूप सिनियर सुद्धा दिसतात इथे. So again, emphasizing on the role, I would say that if you really need to communicate well, whatever is there in your mind, your language has to be good. ठीक आहे. अप्रोप्रिएट, आता मी आतापर्यंत अप्रोप्रिएट असं बऱ्याच वेळेला वापरून झालेलं आहे. बऱ्याच वेळेला हा शब्द मी वापरला आहे, अप्रोप्रिएट लँग्वेज. अप्रोप्रिएट लँग्वेज म्हणजे नेमकं काय असतं? व्हॉट एक्झॅक्टली डू वी मीन बाय द अप्रोप्रिएट लँग्वेज? अप्रोप्रिएट लँग्वेज म्हणजे आपण जे शब्द सिलेक्ट करतो, जी वाक्यरचना आपली असते, आपल्याला जे म्हणायचे ते अचूक पद्धतीनं म्हटलं जातं किंवा त्याचे मल्टिपल मीनिंग्स असे ऑपोजिट किंवा कॉन्ट्रडिक्टरी मीनिंग्स नसतील, क्लिअर मीनिंग असेल, जो आपल्याला म्हणायचा एक्झॅक्टली तोच क्लिअर मीनिंग असेल, याला आपण म्हणतो अप्रोप्रिएट वर्ड्स किंवा अप्रोप्रिएट सेंटेन्स स्ट्रक्चर्स. ठीक आहे. याचा अर्थ दुसरा सेंटेन्स स्ट्रक्चर चूक आहे असं नाही, आपण फक्त म्हणतोय अप्रोप्रिएट. नाव मराठीत जर उदाहरण द्यायचं झालं तर आपण नॉर्मली म्हणतो ना, काय माणसं भेटतात, वस्तू सापडते, किंवा पाणी सांडतं आणि एखादा ऑब्जेक्ट असेल, व्यक्ती असेल तर ते पडतं खाली. सो पडणे, सांडणे, सापडणे, भेटणे ऑब्जेक्ट नुसार जसं बदलत जाईल, ओके, त्या क्रिया त्या नामानुसार जसा तो बदलत जाईल, तसंच इंग्लिशमध्ये सुद्धा असतं. इंग्लिशमध्ये एखादा चुकीचा प्रपोजिशन चुकीच्या ठिकाणी गेला तर टोटल अर्थ बदलून जातो. Okay, for example, if I tell you she cooked her husband an omelette. Okay, I repeat, she cooked her husband an omelette. Okay, I'll write that down. She cooked her husband an omelette. All right. Now, appropriate or inappropriate किंवा कसे वेगळे अर्थ लागतात याबद्दल आपण बोलतोय. Now, she cooked her husband an omelette. हे ऐकायला प्लेन वाटतं. Okay. Syntactically, grammatically, the sentence is absolutely correct. It is not wrong at all. पण जर त्याचा अर्थ काढायचा झाला, if you have to find the meaning of that particular word, मग काय? मग काय अर्थ होतो त्याचा? Can anybody tell me? Yes, योगेश बढे. काय म्हणायचंय?
हा मॅम, तिने आपल्या पतीला एक ऑमलेट शिजवले.
पती
हॅलो.
परत सांगा.
तिने आपल्या पतीला एक ऑमलेट शिजवले.
Okay.
हम्म.
Okay. Anybody
Yes.
else with any other meaning? हेच मीनिंग असेल का? हा, ज्यांना इंग्लिश येत असेल, आय थिंक बऱ्यापैकी येत असेल, म्हणजे सगळ्यांनाच येते, सॉरी, पण काय अर्थ काय असू शकतो? अजून काही अर्थ? बर, मी सांगते. आता ह्या वाक्याचे दोन अर्थ आहेत. She cooked her husband an omelette. म्हणजे हस्बंड साठी ऑमलेट बनवलं. राईट? दिस इज वन. सेकंड, she cooked her husband an omelette, which means आपल्या हस्बंडचाच ऑमलेट बनवला तिने. Okay. It could mean that there was some problem, some issues with them, and she made omelette of her husband. Okay. Oh, yep. I'm still there. Yeah. So, grammatically, the sentence is correct. Okay. Exactly. There's another correct sentence that comes up. She cooked omelette for her husband. बरोबर आहे. मला तेच म्हणायचं आहे. आता ह्या दोन वाक्यांमध्ये फरक एवढाच आहे की एक प्रेपोजिशन मिसिंग आहे. ठीक आहे. एक प्रेपोजिशन फॉर असा घातला की ते मीनिंग जास्त क्लिअर होतं की ऑमलेट कुणासाठी बनवला आहे का त्या व्यक्तीचाच ऑमलेट बनवला त्यांनी. फॉर हा एक प्रेपोजिशन घातला की ते अजून जास्त क्लिअर होतं. आधीचं वाक्य ग्रामॅटिकली सिंटॅक्टिकली चुकतं असं नाही. इट इज ग्रामॅटिकली करेक्ट, सिंटॅक्टिकली इट इज करेक्ट, बट सिमॅन्टिकली इट इज रॉंग.
सिमॅन्टिकली म्हणजे अर्थ. नंतरचा वाक्य सुद्धा ग्रामॅटिकली करेक्ट आहे, पण तिथे आपण फॉर ऍड केल्यामुळे अर्थ जास्त प्रिसाइज झाला, अगदी जास्त अप्रोप्रिएट, करेक्ट असं अचूक अर्थ तयार झाला. असंच आपलं इंग्लिशमध्ये बऱ्याच वेळेला लिहिताना होतं. एखादा शब्द, एखादा प्रेपोजिशन, एखादा आर्टिकल, एखादा चुकीचा क्रियापद जातो आणि सगळे अर्थ बदलतात. म्हणून वाक्यरचना ही खूप केअरफुली करायला हवी. आता मी हे जे उदाहरण दिलं होतं ते ambiguityचं होतं. Meaning, grammatically sentence is correct, but there are multiple meanings of this. So in case of your research papers, आपल्याला अशी ambiguity avoid करायची असते. अशा पद्धतीचे होईल असं मी नाही म्हणत. This was really funny in that case. But sometimes we tend to overlook a particular sentence construction आणि एखादा preposition गाळला जाईल किंवा चुकीचं म्हणण्यापेक्षा वेगळा काहीतरी क्रियापद वापरला जाईल, ज्याचे 2-3 अर्थ निघू शकतात. आणि मग असे 2-3 अर्थ असलेला क्रियापद जर आपण वापरला, then in that case meaning also changes and that will go against you. I mean, that will not be in your favor, right? So for that reason, sentence construction and selection of appropriate word becomes important. So I come back to my point that I was explaining. Importance and language becomes a medium of communication. आपल्या डोक्यात जे आहे ते अचूक पद्धतीनं बाहेर आलं पाहिजे. And that's why appropriate sentence construction is the need of the hour. Now, if you write such sentences, your computers will not necessarily show you it as an error. They will not detect this as an error because grammatically they are sound. They are absolutely sound. The arrangement of words is proper. The order is okay. Spellings are fine. Then what goes wrong? Meaning goes wrong. And a computer, of course, is a computer. It cannot detect the meaning. And so, this becomes the utmost important medium. म्हणजे एक वेळ तुमच्याकडे एखादा ॲपरेटस नसेल एक्सपेरिमेंटचा चालेल, तुमच्याकडे सॅम्पल साईज कमी असेल तर चालेल, किंवा कुठल्या काही तुम्हाला ट्रॅव्हलिंग जमलं नाही, जर सर्वे मेथड असेल, कुठलाही ऑब्झर्वेशन मेथड असेल, तुम्हाला काही लिमिटेशन्स आल्या, तर एक वेळ ते थोडंफार प्रमाणात चालू शकतं, थोड्याफार प्रमाणात. पण जर तुम्हाला लँग्वेजमध्ये व्यवस्थित कम्युनिकेट करता नाही आलं, तर आपल्याला जे सांगायचं आहे, आपण इतके कष्ट घेऊन जे रिसर्च केलंय ते लोकांपर्यंत पोहोचत नाही. सो do not fear English. This is one thing. Second thing, असं अजिबात अज्युम करू नका की आपल्याला सगळं येतं. I'm sorry I'm being a little harsh in this case, but why I am being harsh is because we can't look at our own selves and we do not know whether we lack into something or we need to improve. So you may be good users of English, but I know there is always 10% of chance to everyone to improve in their particular skill or their language. So you also have some room for improvement. You can improve, you can do well, and English is just a medium. It is just a minor medium, it's just a tool, but it's really important. And you have to use it in the most appropriate manner so that whatever is there in your mind, you come up with exact interpretation, with exact choice of words when you write down something. ठीक आहे? एवढा बेसिक ठीक आहे. आता थोडं अगदी सिरियस मुद्द्याकडे बघूया. हे सगळं ठीक आहे की आपल्याला इंग्लिश येते, ते कम्युनिकेशन आहे, टूल्स आहे, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा. पण मग आता हे अप्रोप्रिएट आहे की नाही हे कसं आपल्याला कळायचं? तर कम्प्युटर पण डिटेक्ट करत नाही, मग आपण करायचं काय? And how is it that we will come to know whether the language is correct or whether the language is appropriate. त्याच्यासाठी आपण प्रॅक्टिस केली पाहिजे. The very simple answer is that you have to practice writing it. अगदी अचूक लिहिण्याची अत्यंत गरज आहे. Only then you will be able to frame your objectives well and you'll be able to write it very well. Okay? आता याचा आपण are you people okay with writing something or framing something now?
They will be doing it
Yes, ma'am.
individually at their ends, is it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, fine. No issues.
Yeah.
They can write it down and they'll submit it in the Google Classroom.
No.
If you are giving them an exercise.
Uh, it's not really an exercise. It is just an activity to make them
Okay,
realize
no
that
issues.
no issues, no?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, no issues.
fine. All right. Now, since this is happening online, I don't even know you. I might know you, you may know me, but I don't know anyone because our faces are not visible. Things are not happening offline. So, in order to frame my next classes and as to how I'm supposed to guide you through English, specifically with research writing, I would want you people to do a small task today, a very tiny one. Okay. And what would that be? Uh, in one sentence, okay, in one sentence, you are going to, okay, let me give you an example. Then I think you'll be able to do it better. Huh? Okay. Now, suppose you imagine that you have to buy computers for a particular organization, right? Upon at the paragraph writing and main idea thesis statement, I'm going to come down to this. What does main idea thesis statement mean? आणि आपण ते कसं करायचं ते आपण छोटंसं उदाहरण घेऊया. When if you're working in a particular organization and you have to buy certain computers or laptops, whatever, all right, and you call in for different quotations, people come up with different quotations, and now you have to summarize all of these and present to the board or to the body in your college, the one who makes a decision. ठीक आहे. आता याच्यावरती जर तुम्हाला एक पॅराग्राफ समराईज करून द्यायचा आहे की बरेच लोकांकडून कोटेशन मागवलेत आणि आपल्याला आता कुठला बेटर पडेल किंवा कशा पद्धतीनं तुम्ही तो कम्पेअर केलेला आहे कोटेशन्स आणि त्यापैकी तुम्हाला कुठला बेटर वाटला. ठीक आहे. आता असं जर करायचं असेल तर ऑब्व्हियसली तुम्ही मुद्दे मांडताल की कुठल्या लेवल्स वरती आपण ते कम्पेअर करणार आहोत. राईट. म्हणजे तो कम्प्युटरची कॉस्टिंग, त्याचं काय म्हणतात त्याला, टेक्निकल ऍस्पेक्ट जो काही असेल, म्हणजे आता ते येतं ना I3 I4 वगैरे काय काय म्हटले,
कोटेशन
हा कोटेशन्स आहेत. तर प्राइसिंग तर एक इम्पॉर्टंट आहे.
Computer generation.
Oh yes.
Specification, madam.
Yeah, configuration, right. I forgot the word. Thank you. Coming up with the nice word. त्याचं कॉन्फिगरेशन असेल, त्याची प्राइसिंग असेल, त्याचे किती घेतले क्वांटिटी तर किती कमी होईल, जे काही एस्टिमेट आपल्याला दिला असेल, त्याच्यानंतरची सर्व्हिस काय असेल, येऊन कुणीतरी येऊन ते इन्स्टॉल करेल किंवा आणि त्याच्यात काही अपडेट्स करतील, त्यासोबत अँटीव्हायरस आहे, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, असे बरेच काही पॅकेज त्या quotations मध्ये असतील. Now you people विल कम्पेअर दिस आणि एक छोटासा पॅराग्राफ तुम्ही लिहून द्याल की ह्या ग्राउंड्स वरती मी कम्पेअर केलंय. एक असेल प्राइसिंग, एक असेल कॉन्फिगरेशन अँड सर्व्हिस आफ्टर परचेस. ओके, लेट्स से आपण ह्या 3 गोष्टींवरती भर देऊन आपण तो एक छोटासा पॅराग्राफ तयार करून, समरी तयार करून आपण ती लिहिली असेल. इफ दिस इज व्हॉट यू गोइंग टू डू, सो ऑब्व्हियसली आपल्या पॅराग्राफमध्ये ह्या 3 गोष्टीच दिसल्या पाहिजेत. pricing, configuration and service after purchase. या तीनच मुद्दे आपले दिसले पाहिजेत आणि ह्या तीनच मुद्द्यांवरती आपण लिहिलं पाहिजे. ठीक आहे. बोलताना सुद्धा या तीनच मुद्द्यांवरती तुम्ही ते कोटेशन शॉर्टलिस्ट केले असतील आणि त्यापैकी एक सिलेक्ट केलेला असेल. फाईन. नाव वेन यू राईट दिस डाऊन, कुठेतरी एका वाक्यात हे सगळं आलं पाहिजे. त्याला आपण मेन आयडिया असं म्हणतो किंवा एखाद्या पॅराग्राफमध्ये साध्या सोप्या भाषेत त्याला टॉपिक सेंटेन्स असं म्हटलं जातं किंवा आपल्या रिसर्चच्या लँग्वेजमध्ये त्याला थिसिस स्टेटमेंट असं म्हटलं जातं. राईट. रायटिंग मधला हा पहिला रूल असतो की आपण जर एखादा पॅराग्राफ लिहायला घेतला तर डोक्यात क्लॅरिटी असण्यासाठी, आपला उद्देशाची क्लॅरिटी असण्यासाठी आपण मेन आयडिया किंवा थिसिस स्टेटमेंट हे आधी कुठेतरी एका वाक्यात लिहून ठेवतो आणि मग त्यानुसार आपण ते लिहित असतो. So when I write a paragraph, when I am going to summarize about all this matter of quotation for computers, I would put that in one sentence. माझा मेन आयडिया काय असेल किंवा माझा थिसिस स्टेटमेंट कसा असेल, तो असेल I have shortlisted so and so firm. Sorry, shortlisted नको. Shortlist आपण I have shortlisted 3 firms from whom we received quotation on the grounds of best pricing, or then the configuration and the after purchase service. Next sentence I would write, out of the 3 shortlisted, I would suggest जो कुणी XYZ असेल to be the most reasonable or most efficient or the most appropriate choice for our institute to buy computers. म्हणजे हे मी सजेशन मध्ये दिलं. आय एम नॉट द अथॉरिटी टू मेक अ डिसिजन. सो हा सजेशन म्हणून मी मांडू शकते. सो माझा थिसिस स्टेटमेंट किंवा माझी मेन आयडिया ही 2 वाक्यात गेली. I have shortlisted 3 companies out of the 20 received quotation on the basis of their pricing, their after purchase services and the configuration. सो एका वाक्यामध्ये मी सांगितलं की मी कुठल्या 3 बेसिस वरती त्यांचं शॉर्टलिस्टिंग केलेली आहे. ठीक आहे. असंच आपल्याला अचूक पद्धतीने किंवा अप्रोप्रिएट पद्धतीनं आपला मुद्दा मांडता आला पाहिजे. आता मी हे काय करते, व्हॉट एम आय टेलिंग यू, गेट दॅट क्लिअर. मी हे उदाहरण तुम्हाला एवढ्यासाठी देते की आपल्याला अप्रोप्रिएट कसं लिहिता आलं पाहिजे याच्यासाठी सुरुवात केली पाहिजे लिहिण्याची आणि त्यासाठी तशा पद्धतीनंच आपल्याला विचार करून एका वाक्यात सगळं मांडता आलं पाहिजे. दॅट बिकम्स युअर मेन आयडिया ऑर युअर थिसिस स्टेटमेंट. ठीक आहे. ह्याच्यासाठी मी तुम्हाला एक उदाहरण दिलं, बाईंग कम्प्युटर्स, आणि इथे एका वाक्यात मी थिसिस सांगितलं की माझ्या समरीमध्ये काय दिसेल तर फक्त अमुक 3 कंपनीज किंवा अमुक 3 डिस्ट्रीब्युटर्सच्या इन्फॉर्मेशन असेल जे मी शॉर्टलिस्ट केले आणि माझं बेसिस ऑफ शॉर्टलिस्टिंग ते पण मी त्याच्यात लिहिलं. सो वाचणाऱ्याला म्हणजे लेटर वाचणाऱ्याला एक वाक्य वाचलं की एक्झॅक्टली कळेल की मला काय सांगायचं आहे आणि माझी थिसिस स्टेटमेंट काय असेल. म्हणजे माझं मेन आयडिया, माझ्या समरीचा मेन मुद्दा काय आहे ते एका वाक्यात त्या व्यक्तीला कळेल. आता जर आपल्याला असंच एक उदाहरण करायचं झालं, ठीक आहे. सो तुम्ही जर पेन पेन्सिल घेऊन बसले असाल किंवा व्हॉटएव्हर नसेल तरी तुम्ही फ्रेम करू शकता. जर तुम्हाला एक छोटा पॅराग्राफ लिहायचा असेल, काय पॅराग्राफ आपण देऊयात, लेट्स से आपण पॉवर कट असं नको, पॉवर कट ठीक आहे, पॉवर कट ओके किंवा शॉर्टेज ऑफ पॉवर सप्लाय असं एक ब्रॉड जर अम्ब्रेला टर्म असेल ओके एसेची किंवा पॅराग्राफची, तर त्यात तुम्ही नेमकं काय लिहिणार आहात आणि त्याचं एका वाक्यात तुमचं पॅराग्राफ मध्ये काय असेल हे मला कसं लिहून देऊ शकता बरं? टॉपिक एकदम ब्रॉड देते आम्ही. आय एम नॉट डिरेक्टिंग युअर थिंकिंग. तुम्ही पॉवर सप्लाय किंवा पॉवर शॉर्टेज ऑफ पॉवर सप्लाय इन माय एरिया असं काही असेल, याबद्दल तुम्हाला काय वाटतं ते तुम्ही लिहू शकता किंवा काय वाटतं ते तुम्ही त्या हिशोबाने मेन आयडिया तुमची तयार करू शकता. इट कुड बी एनिथिंग. You agree with power supply, a shortage of power supply, or you say shortage of power supply is politically managed, shortage of power supply is fake, or consequences of power supply, reasons of shortage of power supply. असं बरेचशा लेवल्सवरती कुठलाही एक फोकस घेऊन तुम्ही ते लिहू शकता. पण आता जे काही लिहिणार मला तुम्ही एका वाक्यात सांगू शकता की तुम्ही ह्या टॉपिक बद्दल काय लिहू शकता? जर तुम्हाला एक 100 वर्ड्सचा पॅराग्राफ लिहायचा असेल तर व्हॉट विल यू राईट? टाइम घ्या, एक 2-3 मिनिटं घेऊ शकता तुम्ही. मला एका वाक्यात सांगा की ह्या टॉपिक बद्दल तुम्ही काय लिहू शकता? Okay. So we got one thesis statement by Jyoti Acharya, and she says due to increase in population, there is power shortage in both rural and urban areas of India. Good. Which means Acharya madam would write about cause and effect. She would write the cause of shortage is population. And then she would say how population affects power supply. Yes, madam?
Yes, ma'am.
That you've come down very in a very short time you've come to the thesis statement. Come on, one more minute. Impact and assessments of shortage of power supply in drought-prone area of Solapur district. And that becomes the title of your research. Impact and assessments. Assessments. Okay. Okay, Keshav Jadhav, so you've come up with again very closer to the, I mean, a very closed ended thesis statement, very to the point. Come on, at least one more example. Okay, we wait just for one more minute. Okay, fine. Breaking of okay, problems and prospective shortage of power supply in rural areas, breaking of power out, okay, power outage for irrigation improvement. What's the last one? Power shortage basically occur more in rural areas with rotation circle as compared to urban areas. Wonderful. Now look at your own messages to produce renewable energy resources. Energy crisis due to exponential hike of population. Power shortages impose a substantial negative impact on industry and productivity. All right, wonderful thesis statements or main idea statements that I have come up, you people have come up with, and it gives me more room for interpretation. Uh, it serves dual purpose. One is because I didn't know your language competence and I didn't know what exactly would we go on with. And now I know that you are far more ahead in your language competence. The only thing is somewhere or the other, a little part of grammar goes wrong. And that's why the meaning would possibly change. Now there are some 6, 7 of you who have come up with the thesis statement or the main idea statements. All right. Now let's start with test on the need of power supply during lockdown and discuss the role of public-private partnership and boost the power supply. Now, if you can read, I mean, all of these are available to you also, and read these theses. There are some which are really to the point, and some which are, they're used like an umbrella term within which there could be lot much of things that could be done. Okay, impact and assessment of shortage of power supply. Impact and assessment of what? Of factors affecting shortage of power supply, or assessment of shortage of power supply. But then that gives you, I mean, this becomes the title of your thesis, the whole research thesis, wherein you could actually have different variants, different factors which can be assessed, and you are trying to find their impact, okay, on a particular region. So that's nicely done. A region is also mentioned. The first one that Madam came up with was due to increased in population. Uh, there is power shortage in both rural and urban areas of India. Now, the scope of this particular writing stuff is all over India, rural and urban places in India. Okay, so I don't say that this is wrong or this is inappropriate. I'm just trying to analyze these thesis statements so that we come to know we think something, and while writing, either we increase the whole scope of our work or we reduce the scope of our work. And then meaning also goes wrong at times. So the first part we see that due to increased in population, स्पेलिंग एरर असू शकतो, टायपो एरर असू शकतो, टू इनक्रीज इन पॉप्युलेशन. ठीक आहे, तर इन्क्रीज्ड नाही झाला पाहिजे, तो नॉर्मल इन्क्रीज झाला पाहिजे ड्यू टू इन्क्रीज इन पॉप्युलेशन. पण ह्याचा टाइम पिरियड कळत नाही. ठीक आहे, कधी होतो, काय होतं. सेकंड जो आहे इम्पॅक्ट अँड असेसमेंट ऑफ शॉर्टेज ऑफ असेसमेंट्स. असेसमेंट्स एस नसतो, पुन्हा हा टायपो एरर म्हणून मी कन्सिडर करू शकते. पण इथे कुठेतरी काहीतरी फ्रॅगमेंटरी वाटते. फॅक्टर्स अफेक्टिंग द शॉर्टेज ऑफ पॉवर सप्लाय, द फॅक्टर्स अफेक्टिंग द पॉवर सप्लाय. कारण जर तुम्ही असेस करताय तर तुम्ही काहीतरी टूल्स असेस करताय. मग शॉर्टेजचे काही टूल्स आहेत का की तुम्ही ते असेस करताय? तुम्ही शॉर्टेजच्या संपूर्ण सिनारिओला असेस करण्याचा प्रयत्न करता, पण ते करताना काहीतरी टूल्स असतील, काही फॅक्टर्स असतील. म्हणून तिथे ते थोडंसं मला मिसिंग वाटलं. Problems and prospect of shortage of power supply in rural areas of India. Prospect of shortage. Uh, Problems and prospect of shortage of power supply. Problems of shortage. थोडंसं रिडंडंट वाटतं, अर्थ काढायला थोडंसं अवघड जातो, तर त्याला मल्टिपल मिनिंग येऊ शकतात. शॉर्टेजचे प्रॉस्पेक्ट असणे, म्हणजे कशा पद्धतीनं नेमकं काय बोलायचं, सोल्युशन्स बोलायचं, किंवा आणि काही what you could say other kind of energy sources that you want to use for power. तो आस्पेक्ट इथे घालायचा का, असं थोडंसं त्याच्यात कन्फ्युजन होतं. ब्रेकिंग ऑफ पॉवर आउट, ओके, आउटेज फॉर इरिगेशन इम्प्रूव्हमेंट. ब्रेकिंग ऑफ पॉवर, ओके, फॉर इरिगेशन इम्प्रूव्हमेंट, म्हणजे इरिगेशनच्या इम्प्रूव्हमेंटसाठी प्रॉब्लेम येतो पॉवर सप्लायचा. पण तरी सुद्धा थोडंसं इनकम्प्लीट वाटतं. पण इरिगेशनची इम्प्रूव्हमेंट वगैरे होत नसते, तो फक्त इरिगेशन तेवढाच असतो. पॉवर सप्लायमुळे इरिगेशनला प्रॉब्लेम होऊ शकतो. इरिगेशनची इम्प्रूव्हमेंट आणि कशी होईल, असा एक नॉर्मल लँग्वेज पर्सनला प्रश्न पडू शकतो. फर्दर, पॉवर शॉर्टेज basically occur more in rural areas with rotation circle as compared to urban areas. ओके, म्हणजे हे असं ठामपणे सांगितलं की हा भार रुरललाच जास्त होतो, अर्बनला होत नाही जास्त. आता इथे ह्या एका स्टेटमेंटमध्ये थोडेसे टेन्सचे इश्यूज आहेत. कुठे एस पाहिजे, कुठे डी कम्पेअर्ड असं पाहिजे, अकर्स असं आलं पाहिजे. सो थोडंसं ग्रामर लेवलवर करता येईल, पण खूप क्लिअरली त्यांनी रुरलचीच बाजू घेतलेली आहे. ते ठाम मत आहे. असं असेल तर यू हॅव टू बी व्हेरी पर्टिक्युलर. इट्स गुड, खूप स्पेसिफिक आहे. कम्पेअर अँड कॉन्ट्रास्ट ऐसे आहे. कम्पेअर अँड कॉन्ट्रास्ट काम असेल त्यांचं ते. टू प्रोड्यूस रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी रिसोर्सेस. आय एम सॉरी बट इनकम्प्लीट. इनकम्प्लीट वाटतं कारण याला मागे काही नाही आणि पुढे काही नाहीये. सेंटेन्स सीम्स टू बी इनकम्प्लीट इन मीनिंग. रिन्यूएबल रिसोर्सेस हे एक सोल्युशन असू शकतं शॉर्टेजचं. Because there is shortage of power supply, he's come up with a solution: use renewable energy resources. So he's giving you a solution to the whole problem, but the thesis statement needs to be framed even a little more precise. कारण या स्टेटमेंट मध्ये सेंटेन्स मध्ये प्रॉब्लेमच दिसत नाहीये, सोल्युशनच डायरेक्ट दिसतो आपल्याला. Next is energy crisis due to exponential hike of population. Okay, now here if it's energy crisis, which means it could deal with other sources of energies that are used in at domestic levels also, industry levels सुद्धा होऊ शकतो. Okay. Power shortages impose a substantial negative impact on industry productivity. Okay, so absolute clear one thing that the person is trying to say is about the impact of power supply, आणि त्यातूनही फक्त एकच impact त्यांना अभ्यास करायचा आहे, that is industry productivity. So just one impact of shortage of power supply. So it could be a very detailed work. Government stressed on the need of power supply during lockdown and discussed the role of public-private partnership in boosting investment in the power supply. आता हे वाक्य कसं वाटतंय माहितीये का? It seems to be like a minutes of particular meeting. See, I'm not commenting on anyone as a personally as a comment. We are just analyzing these words. याच्यानं आपल्याला आपण आणि किती छान फ्रेम केलं पाहिजे सेंटेन्स हे कळेल. सो खूप डिटेल टाकलंय की गव्हर्नमेंटने काय केलं लॉकडाऊनच्या दरम्यान, अँड नाव दे हॅव टॉक्ड अबाउट public and private partnership so that they could boost the energy sources or resources or the power supply that we have. But the whole tone of the sentence becomes what? Past tense, and that too kind of a रिपोर्टिंग सेन्स. ओके, वेरेन याच्या आधी काहीतरी झालेलं आहे, गव्हर्नमेंटने मीटिंग घेतली आहे, त्यांनी डिस्कस केलेलं आहे आणि त्यांनी आता हा कन्क्लुजन काढलेला आहे असं फायनल स्टेटमेंट म्हणून जास्त जाणवतं. Power shortage major impact on economic activities as well as farming activities. आता इथे नेमकं काय शोधायचं तेच क्लिअर होत नाही. ओके, क्रियापद मिसिंग आहे. That is, the verb is missing here. You could say the major impact of power shortage on economic activities. तर तिथे impact हा verb म्हणून काम करेल, पण आता it seems to be a little redundant because of the missing verb construction. Breaking of power in Kerala in last week due to cyclonic condition. Okay, so the condition is mentioned, it's because of cyclone, and the time period is mentioned, last week, the place Kerala. So they can definitely talk about, the person can definitely talk about the impact of power cut. Now, thank you very much, students, for coming up with all these thesis statements in just a matter of 3 4 minutes. Normally, this doesn't happen with most of the people. I think I must again appreciate you people. If you were there in class, I would definitely clap for you because I have been tutoring to the American universities. ते वाचलं की नाही मला माहित नाही resume मध्ये कदाचित miss झालं असेल I don't know मी पण. But I used to work for the American universities as a writing tutor, and I worked for some 3 4 years. Even now, I work sometimes. That is just in case if it's an important assignment and they need me. Otherwise, I don't go because I don't have much time. But then, I've been teaching there, and that experience tells me that very few people in India, the education system is such that we are not taught to write well. We think well, we can frame well, but what we think cannot come down on paper properly. So we're not able to frame sentences correctly. But I must again appreciate I it's really commendable job that you people have come up with. Halfway through, you're done. 80% of your thesis statements are all fine, except a little changes, a little errors here and there. But your focus is really clear. Now, this also tells me that you are far more good with your focus and expression of in a foreign language. Now, the only thing that you need to work is more on how you could use those nuances of English language, that is grammar, preposition, sentence construction, the tenses. Only that is, I think, you need to work on, and then framing it or writing your research paper. So your basics are clear. You can formulate a main idea or a thesis statement. You can find out what is the central idea of a research paper when you read. So you are halfway through, I would say. You don't really need a mentor to work on your English language as such, but just a little work on your written stuff. That is just a little more appropriate. You're 80% done. I don't mean you should be 100% okay, but just a little more 10 to 10, 15%, and you should be through. Why I say this is because I read these statements and they're far more clear, and I assume that this is what you expected to say in your, you had the same opinion in your mind, and that's what has come in the message that you have just sent. So, coming down to why I am here and the purpose here. So I'm glad that the college has given me a chance to talk to you and to teach you. And I'm really happy that you people are halfway through. You're really good in your English. The only thing is, we need to get to a little technical aspect of the language so that you can use it in the most suitable manner for you. Otherwise, you people are all fine. I mean, your language is really good. There's just 10% of improvement that is required, according to me. Just a little bit here and there. But now, whatever that we did, I just need 1 or 2 minutes more. It's already 4:30. So just get into the habit of writing more precise. असे थोडे अजून 2 4 उदाहरणं घेऊन दररोज थोडंसं थोडंसं एक एक वाक्यामध्ये मेन आयडिया लिहिण्याचा प्रयत्न करा. गेट डाऊन टू बी मोर प्रिसाइज अँड मोर ब्रीफ. म्हणजे कमीत कमी शब्दात अचूक पद्धतीने एखाद्या वाक्यात मत मांडण्याचा प्रयत्न करा. गेट दॅट. काही लोक म्हणतात रिसर्च म्हणजे आपण खूप इलॅबोरेटिव्ह लिहिलं पाहिजे, इलॅबोरेट करता आलं पाहिजे. बरोबर आहे, इलॅबोरेट करता आलं पाहिजे, पण त्यासाठी आधी आपल्याला अचूक काय आहे ते पण मांडता आलं पाहिजे. सो अशी थोडीशी प्रॅक्टिस करत राहा. आय थिंक याचा तुम्हाला नक्कीच फायदा होईल when you actually sit down to write your papers. Okay. So is there anyone who wants to ask anything or say anything? Your suggestion, your comments, your remarks are all welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are
Uh,
मला yes, yes.
yeah, thank you, ma'am, for your lecture. Now I request Mr. Sandeep Kolekar, sir, to present the formal vote of thanks.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mithilesh sir. Good evening, all. I am Sandeep. It's my pleasure to express vote of thanks for today's first session. First of all, I express sincere thanks to the today's resource person, Dr. Vijaya Kadam, SP College Pune, for her very informative speech on the role of English language in the research. Also, I express my thanks to the principal of SP College Pune, Dr. Datar ma'am. I'm very much thankful to the Dr. Devne sir and Dr. Dhole sir for them restless efforts for this coursework on the background of this global pandemic COVID-19. And last but not least, all participants of this course for those active participation in this course. So thank you all of you uh, to joining this course. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So, do we end here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes.
And in fact, I think we would require an advanced session on public speaking and a bit of grammar, say language correction sort of.
Okay, no problem. But I would really appreciate if you come up with remarks or comments because I had something
Sure,
else in
sure.
my mind and something else happened. So,
Yeah, we do pass them a feedback form and let us see how they respond.
yeah, sure.
And we have a column wherein they have suggestions. So just in case they have specific suggestions, we'll pass them on to you.
Yes, I'll be glad to know that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah, participants can use the second link to join the second session. Good evening, ma'am. Patel, ma'am, good evening.